Hello, race fans. Welcome to another edition of the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network, episode number 31, August the 15th, 2008. My name's Rob Howden, joined as always by David Cole. We are ready to debrief the Supercars USA Pro Tour Summer Nationals, held, of course, at Newcastle Motorsports Park last week in Newcastle, Indiana. Fantastic racetrack. And the finale of the Supercars USA Pro Tour for 2018. The ninth running of the Summer Nationals. Tremendous race, and this is going to be a pretty serious debrief. We got lots to talk about. Going to be maybe a little longer than we normally do, but we're looking forward to getting into it, kind of diving into the meat of what happened this past weekend. This week's show presented by K1 Race Gear. Since 2003, K1 Race Gear has been a one-stop shop for all of your indoor and outdoor karting needs. From racing shoes, suits, and driving gloves to chest protectors, rib vests, accessories, and bags, K1 Race Gear provides quality karting products for the enthusiast and professional alike. Visit K1RaceGear.com today and get everything you need for your next racing outing. All right, David Cole, let's bring you on in here, my friend. In the rearview mirror for you and I, the SCUSA Pro Tour Summer Nationals from Newcastle. All in all, pretty damn good weekend. Decent weather, high humidity, but the rain that could have came in on Saturday stayed away. Nothing on Sunday either. All in all, for the final race of this year's Pro Tour with numbers, well over, I think they ended up right around 240 or something like that, a little over 240. What a weekend. Pretty solid.
Yeah, luckily we didn't have the last two times we've been at Newcastle. I haven't had any weather issues, so that's been great. Typically, we normally have, I still have another trip to go, so I should knock on wood real quick just to make sure we don't have. Normally, we have some weather issues, and luckily we haven't had that. Again, overall, a good weekend, a long weekend. We both rolled in there on Thursday. We had long days at the racetrack. Obviously, good day at. Any day at the racetrack is a good day, but it makes, kind of like this podcast. It was a long Saturday, Sunday, just because of the way the schedule is with the numbers that they had and everything. But, overall, a really good weekend.
Yeah, the extended days, we had seen the initial schedule was going to be a significantly shorter day. We probably would have been done by 5 o'clock every day. But when you get 73 drivers, pre-registered to run in the X30 senior class, you get 57 drivers in X30 junior. At that point, for sure that they've got to make an adjustment. Dave, last year they ran 57 in X30 senior in the class by itself. You obviously couldn't do that with 70-something. And I think 57 in juniors may be a little sketchy as well. So I thought it was a good idea for them to move to the split pre-finals. It gave us the excitement of the last chance qualifiers as well, which for me was some of the best parts of the weekend, being able to call that bubble spot in the pre-finals to go straight through, and then of course the last chance qualifiers.
That was one. I had a couple comments as we were around there that it would have been better if they would, when they opened it up, say, hey, if we're going to open it up to as many as possible, and we might have LCQs. I think people were kind of disappointed. Obviously, those that were kind of on that edge of being in or not, they were kind of disappointed because it added pressure to them. It added pressure to the driver, not only the driver, but the team to get this guy into the big show. We're not used to that. We've never had that at the Summer Nationals or any Pro Tour event outside the Super Nationals. So I think, for me personally, I think that's something that they need to establish right away and say, hey, look, we're going to start opening these events to this many entries. We're going to have LCQs, so that way people are aware of it. But personally, we've talked about this before with a lot of the programs. We could just get back to going to one final. That way people get plenty of track time with the qualifying and the heat races, and then we kind of shorten up the fields a little bit, so it helps deviate from a lot of the bad driving that we typically see with the bigger fields. But again, that's for another podcast.
That's good. My mind's like, okay, when do we schedule that podcast to get a roundtable together to talk about, do we go double race weekends or do we move to the single race weekend where we're setting all weekend long for those Sunday main events? In the end, when you looked at it, great numbers, as we said, at X30 Junior, X30 Senior, X30 Masters as well. But those drivers that didn't transfer through, didn't make it through to the last chance qualifier, in the end, they missed out on really in senior, you missed out on 15 laps. If you're in junior, you missed out on 8 laps because you ran a 10 lap last chance qualifier. The mains were 18 laps for juniors. So if you didn't make the main, in the end, you lost 8 laps. Is what you lost overall in the day.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you can look at
what it comes down to.
You can look at it laps, but you can also look at, hey, I didn't make the main. But then again, some people were automatically assuming they were going to be racing in the main before they got there. Then you get there and they say, oh, we're going to do LCQs, because really we didn't know until Thursday, to be honest. So,
David, that's what they say, right? Hey guys, next year for the Pro Tour, we want to be inclusive, not exclusive. We're going to allow as many people to enter as possible. And just so you know, there may be LCQs. And you're right. Some people may say, you know what? I'm not going to risk that. I want to make sure I have full track time. I want to run a full main. Personally, I think it's an awesome challenge. I would love to race at any event that I could or could not make the main event. I think that's fantastic. That's, you got
exactly.
I love it. James Hinchcliffe didn't make the Indianapolis 500 this year because of bump day. I love having that. Hey, you know what? You've got to get out there and get the job done. Because really it was a challenge for these drivers to make it happen. A lot of them, I think, probably learned how to approach a last chance qualifier and not. And the same thing goes with the pre-final. We saw guys running 12th, 13th in the pre-final all by themselves, big gap, and getting together, wrecking each other. And last lap of the pre-final, they were already into the main. Right?
I completely agree with you, Rob, because it does teach you better racecraft. It really does. It teaches you how to think prior to your race before you just go out there and just wail into everybody. It does. It teaches you a little bit of discipline. It teaches you how to be more competitive. I mean, in all honesty, we gotta stop babying people if we're racing at this level of the sport. You got to stop babying people. You weren't fast enough. You don't make it. Done. Yeah, exactly. Well, and here's the thing too, Dave. We talk about racecraft. This has been something that we've been doing all summer long with our Art of the Racecraft series, right? We're talking about racecraft, and one of the issues that these young drivers, and even the older guys, that are driving like idiots and wrecking each other, what they're not doing, there's no ramifications, right? They're just back the next day and racing the next day, right? We talked about it. They wreck a go-kart, they pull a new one down, and away they go. Here's the ramifications of, hey, I drove like an idiot in the pre-final. Oh, guess what? I'm not coming from the tail of the main event. I'm not even in the main event because I didn't. Or you're wrecking the last chance qualifier. There was actual ramifications for your actions. If you drove like an idiot and wrecked, you were in the race. And I think that's one thing I like about it. I think it's a cool deal. Now let's jump in real quick in this first segment. Again, EKN Debrief, episode number 31. David Cole and I breaking down this past weekend's SCUSA Summer Nationals, final round of the Pro Tour. David, numbers strong, as I said. Really good X30 junior, senior. Awesome to have a good field of Masters drivers over 20. I love to see that. 30, just over 30 in Mini Swift, threw another $1,000 into the purse for them. On the other side, shifter numbers weak overall. The S4 Master and Super Master, it looks to be all but done nationally. I know that you and I discussed that. There's a lot of guys out there that would be bitching if they dropped the Masters class. But there's 5 guys in Masters and 8, I think, in Super Master, something like that. Like, what do you do? Like, it's just, guys, if there's no demand for it, you don't have it. So maybe it's gone next year. I don't know. We'll see. S1 combined S1, S2 was almost 30 drivers. So if you flip it over to like more of a combined all skate category next year, where it's not S1, S2, it's just shifter, senior shifter. If you can draw 30, that's pretty damn good, I think, still. Well, again, these shifter numbers are all because of the unquestionable or uncertainty of what engine packages are going to be for what next year. It really boils down to that, Rob. Again, as I talked with a lot of people on the weekend, I said, because they did, we'll talk about it in the Paddock Pass, they did some test drives in the SSE engine. If they would have set out a plan like they did with the transition from the Leopard to the X30, I don't think we'd be in this situation, because I think people would know and they'd be wanting to come to these races where they don't want to put down $2,000 to $3,000 or even more on an engine program that's going to be obsolete the next year, or at least they can budget better, knowing when it's going to come and when it's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of guys who were former national competitors have sold their stock Hondas, right? They found their way to some road racers. They found their way to some club guys or whatever it may be, and regional racers, and maybe they're just not out there. So you're right. The uncertainty
in the Supercarts USA gearbox platform for 2019 and beyond. That's definitely playing a role, no doubt about it. Now, Dave, let's look at the entries here in this first segment of the debrief. I think you have down a total of 245 entries. Awesome, like great numbers. Obviously, we had to do the split pre-finals and the split qualifying for X30 Junior and Senior, LCQs. All in all, though, if you look at some of the transitions of the numbers, Micro Swift started the season with 13, 14 at the Spring Nats, 19 here. Mini, 33, 29, 31 for the 3 races, pretty consistent. X30 Junior, 50, 43, 57. They had a little bit of a drop, but maybe that was because of Phoenix, obviously changing the venue. Senior, 44, 40, and then 76. Did you talk to anybody, some of the people that didn't come to the first couple of races? Did you get a sense for why we had so much interest in this particular weekend?
Well, as you said, I mean, the numbers were 57 around there. I think it might have been 57 last year for Newcastle. So you're looking at 18 more. So it's really not a lot more new people. I mean, again, you got guys that moved from junior to senior this year. So that helps with the numbers there. And then you got some guys coming back, like a Philip R. Scott coming back, and a couple, just other local racers who decided to come race. And that's one thing you don't get at NOLA and you don't get at Phoenix. You don't get local racers aside from
local X30 drivers.
Yeah. Correct. Aside from your Jim McKinney or somebody like that. But, Newcastle has, not Newcastle, but the Midwest and even the East Coast has a lot of X30 racers. So that's, this is for a lot of them, it could be their Super Nats, or it could be a tune-up for the Super Nats. They could use this as a judging tool. Okay, if I do well here, maybe I have the opportunity to do well in Vegas. So, essentially this was a mini Vegas for that category because of the way the format was and how big the numbers were. Because there's no doubt about it, it's going to be sold out for Vegas when we go there in November.
Yeah. Another one that will sell out. It's probably already sold out for all we know. At least the first group is X30 Master. That's always kind of the first one to sell out at the Super Nats. So many international drivers.
No. What? X30 Master is actually typically the first one to sell out.
That's what I said. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about X30 Master.
Okay,
sorry. That's what I meant. No, Master's always the one. 48 hours, right? 24 hours sold out. But they opened it up last year, didn't they? They opened up Masters last year, and I think they capped S2 last year, which was a great idea. The Masters guys always come out to play. 23 at the opening round of Winter National, 17 in Phoenix, back to 23 again, David. I'd like to see the consistency out of X30 Master. I'd like to see it get back up to that 30, 35. And I think there's lots of guys out there that are running. The cool factor is, for the most part, probably one of the best races of the weekend has been X30 Master. The guys in that class, for the most part, race really clean. They all know that they have to go back to work on Monday morning. And it's just fun to watch. Just good racing all around in X30 Master.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more later about the nickname we called them. But for the most part, when the checkered flag is on the line, it's fairly clean. Some of the guys are a little more aggressive than others, but you're going to have that. But again, like you said, guys are flying home to work on Monday instead of, going to school like some of these senior drivers are. So, it's very competitive because the gap between the top 10 is so close that it's just getting more and more and more competitive as this category keeps growing.
S4 Master and Super Master, really a slow decline throughout the year. 10 at least to start the year in Masters at Winter Nats, down to 6 in Phoenix, down to 5 here. Super Master was 11 at the High Point NOLA, down to 10 in Phoenix, 8 at Newcastle. Again, those are numbers you don't want to see. And if you're the Scusa Brass, you're sitting down, you're saying, what do? We got to get our shifter cart program figured out. The S1, S2s, though, as you said, David, 10 in S1, 16 in S2, 26 total. You throw them all together in one big race like they're going to do at the Super Nats. And I think the way things are, the S1, S2 experiment, not so much experiment, it's kind of the way the whole thing started for the last 9 years. It's kind of getting back to where we may find ourselves where we were with the Stars of Karting days when ICC was just one big group. They had 40-something guys in the race. And the S2 was designed for kids to come in out of S5 rather, or in the early days out of ADCC junior or senior, get a feel for the shifter kart class, get a chance to win some races potentially in a championship, then go battle against the best guys. Well, if that's not going to roll, might as well just jump in, throw them all in one pond, and let them battle. It's a good challenge for these drivers to step things up. All right, let's cap it off, Dave. Let's wrap up the overview. After this break, we'll come back. We'll jump into the paddock pass, as you mentioned. Lots to talk about the stuff that's been going on. We're going to talk about penalties. We're going to talk about the IME shifter we talked about. We're going to talk a little bit about 2019. Of course, all that after this break. In a sport where the difference between winning and losing is measured in hundredths of a second, you can't afford to leave anything on the table. You invest in the best equipment, the latest components, and top-of-the-line data acquisition systems. Anything to find one more tenth, right? I'll tell you right now, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the new state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy uses the very best equipment, Burrell Art Carts. They offer half-day, 1-day, 2-day, and 3-day clinics. They have a one-on-one student-to-instructor ratio, and they will design a customized curriculum for each student. Alan Rudolph is one of the most respected people in the sport, and he has nearly 20 years' experience training drivers, including Chase Elliott, Neil Alberico, Austin Versteeg, and Sabre Cook, and rising stars like Pietro Fittipaldi. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Start off your season with a driver tune-up. Tune up your season with some driver coaching. Or get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. For more information, visit speedsportsracingpark.com/racing-academy.
If you want to drive the best, drive a CRG. Our countless race wins and championships prove this fact, including taking the KZ Finals at the SCUSA Super Nationals and the CIK World Championships in both 2016 and 2017. Our material is second to none. After years of independent American importers, CRG is now managed directly by the factory and run out of our state-of-the-art headquarters in Texas. CRG Nordam is the American arm of the CRG factory in Italy, and we're serious about success. We stock a wide variety of parts in all of our chassis, from the CRG Hero for the mini categories, to the Heron for tag racing, the Road Rebel for gearbox competition, and the new FS4, which has been designed specifically for American 4-cycle Briggs racing. If you're ready to step up to the national level, do it with a factory race team that competes across the USA. CRG Nordam is a full factory effort with the best personnel and the finest equipment. We're serious about winning, and you should be too.
Welcome back to episode number 31 of the EKN Debrief. We are going through the SCUSA Pro Tour Summer Nationals from Newcastle last weekend. Jumping into the Paddock Pass, lots to talk about. This edition of the Paddock Pass brought to you by the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. The finest regional karting series in the great state of Texas will cap off its 2018 season on September 22nd and 23rd at the Dallas Karting Complex, running all the same classes as the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. The Texas Pro Kart Challenge champions will receive guaranteed starting spots at this November's Super Nationals. If you're a club racer looking to raise your game, come join in on the Texas Pro Kart Challenge action at DKC to prepare for the 2019 season. You can find all the information you need at TexasProKartChallenge.com. All right, David, 9th running of the SCUSA Summer Nationals, the very first one you actually weren't at. We discussed that. You were actually at Newcastle for a road tax race. I was up at Shawnee, Wisconsin, 2010. AJ Allmendinger, Jamie McMurray were there as well. 88 drivers for that first Summer Nationals, the inaugural year of the Pro Tour. 245 this year, so significant growth, pretty much right around 300%. It was the midway point of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour season for the first 7 years, but now the last 2 years, the finale gets it. Everybody gets it done. Champions decided. Number one plates awarded. We go to the wide open Super Nationals, which I think makes things just a little easier for everybody going to Vegas.
Yeah, I think I think the Summer Nationals has really found a home at Newcastle. Being there the last 4 years, it just seems like that Tom Kutcher and the SCUSA staff really mend well with the Newcastle facility and Mark Dismore and Mike Adams and the whole crew that's there. So, it's going to be tough to see if I don't really see it happening anytime soon, but I think the Summer Nationals almost has a permanent home moving forward. It's nothing official, but I really see it as being the East Coast Pro Tour race.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And again, I'll reiterate what you're saying. We don't have any confirmation. Tom's never told us that it's there forever. I'm sure that they work great together, like you said. It's the track just races so well. The paddock's big enough to have everybody. The track's fantastic. We can have more carts if we had to. You could run 50 carts if you had to, 55, depending on the class if you needed to, because it's a 1 mile racetrack. We're talking 1 minute and 2 second to 1 minute and 15 second laps. We're not getting back down to below a minute lap time. So it's an amazing track. Lots of places to pass. Hospitality's amazing. They rock the Racers Grill. It's just a great place to race. I totally agree with you. Paddock was absolutely packed, David, this particular trip. They overflowed into the regular parking lot. Just the atmosphere I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, and there's plenty of room for them to grow too, because obviously they try like they've been doing at the Supernats, where we have all this space, trying to give everybody enough room so they're not butt to butt, ass to ass type deal. And you got plenty of room. So believe me, there's plenty of room for them to hit over 300 entries. I really believe that, because you have the main paddock with the paved roads, and then you have the grass paddock that you can organize a little bit better. It's just getting all of the pedestrian cars and all the RVs. As we saw this year, they use the paved parking area for as the RV parking lot. So they definitely have room to grow. I really would love to see this event get closer to that 300 mark.
Agreed.
That would be an amazing feat. But again, it's really cool just to see that type of an event at Newcastle every year.
All right, let's. That's a good overview. Of course, the paddock itself, the RVs. It was just a great feel. Let's spin around now. Let's not so much the negative. It's a negative positive. Let's talk about the penalties. I know that you had a good chat with Joe Janowski, the director of competition, to go over how many video reviews they had, how many investigations that were called in by the race control, how many penalties then came, and how many no penalties came from the video marshaling system. Because I think I brought it up over the PA and our EKN Trackside Live broadcast, David, a number of times throughout the weekend. It just seems like over the last 2 years, right? You and I were there when they first got the video marshaling system at NOLA last year. It was brand new. Now the racing was a lot rougher than it is nowadays, so they were calling more stuff in, but it was almost too much. There was so many they were trying to leverage it so much to use the video that there was the new technology. Over this last 2 years, David, they've really, I think, optimized it. They've really got a better feel with how they can use it. And of course, people have been in their positions for 2 years now as well. I think they are really, really right now maximizing that video marshaling program.
That's just it. It's just like driving. You can't just jump into a cart and be fast the first lap. It might take you 6 or 7 laps to be fast. Well, this is like the 7th event really that they've used, the video marshaling system. And like you said, they needed to find a way, that they needed a procedure in how to go about this. They couldn't just, look at this, look at this, look at that, look at this. It was, they needed to fine tune everything on how to approach it, because again, we shouldn't be relying strictly on the video. That was one of the biggest faults they had, I think, at the beginning is they were trying to rely a little bit too much on the video, to where, now, as we haven't gotten the numbers yet, but it's a little bit less. It's not as much as it was in NOLA and that, because obviously you can tell a penalty from a penalty most of the time, but again, it's good to have that video to not only back you up, but to maybe prove you wrong. Even you might have saw something that you thought was a penalty, and in case it wasn't. So it's I think they've gotten to a good position with the video marshaling system where they are at right now. I think they kind of understand now how they need to approach it. And I think they're getting the right people in the right positions.
So on Saturday, David, 135 video investigations, video reviews called in by Race Control to the trailer. Of those 135, 71 were penalties, 64 were no penalties. So they called the context, saw something there, and then some deemed avoidable, some deemed unavoidable, or deemed no contact whatsoever. That's kind of an interesting number, right? Almost pretty much half. A little different on Sunday. 119 reviews, a little less in terms of video investigations, 83 penalties, 36 no penalties. But you can just see that they're using it. And yeah, some are penalties, but some, because they're looking at that video, they're saying, you know what? I thought I saw something, but no, it's clear. You're good to go. I think that's good. That's showing that they're not just using it just to find someone at fault. They're also showing it to find someone that was not at fault, or that the fact there wasn't even an incident. And I think that's key.
Yeah, and again, the procedure for a race director and the way he goes about it, he does kind of get better as the weekend goes along. And I think that's kind of what we see with that, the 64 no penalties on a Saturday to where we only had 36 on Sunday, to where, their vision and the way they see things, or maybe just the fact that driving didn't appear to be as rough on Sunday. But again, in the flip side, we normally see more rough driving on Sunday because it is the last day. So, it's never going to be the same type of numbers from event to event, but it's good to see that the officials are looking at things, because I don't think that's one thing we can say people are saying when we leave a race, is that the officials aren't doing anything. Again, it's different from tent to tent, because again, you're focused in on your own little box and your own little people, and you don't see the big picture that these officials see. And again, this isn't just racing. This is qualifying too, that they're reviewing things. So we're talking, for the X30 senior and junior, that's 4, 5, 6 sessions that they're calling penalties and reviewing penalties.
Speaking, David, of people being in their own tents and kind of focusing on their own racing. So a lot of the teams don't, and actually a lot of people in the paddock, let's just say everybody, they don't get to see as many starts as you and I do, right? We watch every start of every race for the last 9 years of the Pro Tour. If you and I look at just these last couple of years, what these starts have been like, right? People, you guys don't watch every start. A lot of times you're back with your kid in the paddock, or you're whatever, you're a team owner, you're a mechanic, you're working on your own stuff. The starts, and the reason why I'm bringing this, because we're talking pushback bumpers now, and we'll talk about the penalties. The starts this particular weekend, they are so contrast to what we had 2 years ago, even a year ago, but let's say 2 years ago, 3-4 years ago at the Supernats and so on and so on. The pushback bumpers, I know some people love them, some people hate them. You cannot argue that they have fixed the starts in Pro Tour racing.
Well, even from NOLA. NOLA, we didn't have a pushback bumper, and we had, as I just watched a video, a guy just driving right into a wreck because who knows why, but it's just ridiculous.
Trying to figure out why.
But yeah, just it's alleviated the guy coming from 29th trying to get to 5th in the opening corner. And that, the old saying is you can't win the race on the first corner, but you sure as hell can lose it. And
it just, for me, we were right there. The Cooper Tire Broadcast Center was right at turn 1, and we watched every start. And I was just, normally I almost hold my breath because you're kind of waiting for that wreck. Who's going to make the big dive bomb move? Who's going to fly over top of whoever? And they were really, really clean. And I was, there was a couple incidents here and there, but they were really clean. In the end, on Saturday, 52 pushback bumper penalties, full pushback, 5-second penalty. They didn't give any penalties at all for partial pushbacks. 52 pushbacks for penalties on Saturday, 88 partials. On Sunday, 40 pushback penalties, again with the 5-second penalty, and 57 partials. So overall, 92 penalties for pushback bumpers. But again, the partials, not so much, but it dropped a bit for the second day of competition. I get it. I get the fact that if you're running in a train and some guy makes a mistake, or if and he drops a wheel and you bump into the back of him, hard in the back of him, it's not your fault. I don't know what the answer to that yet is, whether or not you even want to open that Pandora's box and try to allow video, like, hey, I didn't do it, here's the video. The bottom line is it's cleaned up the racing for sure. I didn't want it. You didn't want it. We thought it wasn't needed. but because people weren't racing clean, it had to come, and the results have been positive, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how SCUSA's gone with the full pushback as a penalty only and the partial not being a penalty. Coming from the USPKS over the last 2 years is they've done penalty for either a full pushback or a partial pushback, because as we saw with Austin Garrison, he lost a race and a podium, or a race win and a podium for a partial pushback. So, again, it's hard to, because again, all the bumpers are made different, all the noses are different. So it's hard. There's no concrete evidence yet on how this system is working and what's the best way to approach it. The one thing, I think we can say 99% with full confidence is that it's helping with the starts, as you said earlier.
Yeah. My thought is this. Anytime you have this kind of, we're taking this step. This is the option we're using right now to kind of clean racing up. My thought is the least amount of penalty possible, but to still get the game, right? So we're already saying, so SCUSA has a 5-second penalty for full activation, nothing for half. The results are there. Like, we're having better starts and better racing. So in my mind, you go as low as possible to still get the result, right? You could go 20-second penalty or exclusion, and you're probably not going to have any contact whatsoever. But they're still able to race clean with the 5-second penalty. It's working so far, and of course the USPKS is working as well. Every time we do a debrief, you tell us that it's really good racing there as well. But there are some pushback issues. Tough to see a guy with a partial pushback lose a race. And maybe that's why I think just that the least amount that you can penalize somebody, still get the result of clean racing. That's in my mind the way to go.
Yeah, and again, it's because we don't have numbers on what exactly pushes it back. That's what I'm talking about with the different bumpers and the different Nerf bars and the different nose pieces. How the claim is, well, I just went over a bump and it pushed it back. Well, there's no concrete evidence that can prove it or disprove that. So that again, that's kind of going to be over the winter, I think, is do we penalize for partial or do we not penalize for partial? So I think that's going to be kind of the debate for not only SCUSA, but for USPKS moving forward. And then, who knows what WK is going to do? I'm not even sure yet what they're going to do, because they're going to implement pushback bumpers next year as well.
Okay. Episode number 31 of the EKN Debrief. My name is Rob Howden. David Cole and I breaking down the recent Superkarts USA Summer Nationals, the finale of the Pro Tour. We are doing the Paddock Pass, brought to you by Texas Pro Kart Challenge. This whole podcast being presented by K1 Race Gear. David, one of the interesting things we've seen at these races, they had at the Winter Series as well, is they've brought the IME SCUSA shifter engine, the SSE. They had some test drives on Friday and Saturday. There was mixed feedback from drivers who actually got behind the wheel. You yourself jumped behind the wheel to bang out a couple of laps. What did you hear from the guys you talked about? Because we've already talked about the fact that SCUSA has got to come up with a plan for their shifter kart program. Give us a 3, 4, 5-year plan. Let people know what's going on gearbox-wise with Superkarts USA, the organization that really is the leader in shifter kart racing, has been for the last 25 years here in North America. They need to let people know what they're going to do. Is this engine coming out? Is this the engine that's going to be the for the next 5 to 10 years? You drove it. What are your thoughts on it? And what did you hear from the other guys that drove it?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to give a, let's go with this type thought regarding the engine, because I haven't driven a shifter in probably over 8 years, I think it was. So this was my first time actually getting into a shifter kart in a long, long time. And it felt different for me. Obviously I've been racing Briggs, so it was really weird for me to go from that to the shifter kart, but it was fun in the same right. So yeah. The fun factor, I think it was really cool. I mean, again, I haven't driven a shifter in a long time, but I came out of that scoreboard corner and my head was looking up at the sky because there was just so much power being put down by the engine. So I don't know if it was just because of the 175 cc it has, or just because my neck is that weak now. So, and I just can't handle it anymore. But it was a really short, gearing. That was one thing that they said they didn't quite have right, was the gearing for the racetrack. So you're in 6, and it felt like you wanted to go up to another gear, but it was already there in 6. So that was different. But again, this is probably one of the longer racetracks that they've had these engines on. So that's something they've not. I think they did it on Saturday. I think they fixed the gearing there to make it a little bit longer, so it wasn't quite a lot of shifts going on. But through the corners, you either had to be on it or off of it. Again, just like most shifter engines, you can't feather that engine as you're making a corner. Otherwise, you're like a bucking bronco type deal. But overall, I think it was a really cool experience to do. Some guys said, they felt it wasn't any more impressive than any of the other engines that are out there right now. But then you had guys that got in it, like an Alex Bertignoli, who's never driven a shifter kart before, and said it was a freaking riot. So again, I think they're still kind of hesitant on pulling the trigger on this engine, but I think they're there to where they can. It seems like the work they've done with Tillotson on the carburetor has been phenomenal, and I think they have all the right pieces to make this go.
Well, and David, that kind of plays into our final comment here in the Paddock Pass, the fact that the question, where's SCUSA going for 2019? What's going on with the Winter Series? What are we looking at for the Pro Tour next year? What are the classes that are going to get offered? I think was it Saturday night, right, when we were wrapping up before we did the podiums? I believe they recorded another edition of the Tomversation. Chris Ortenberger, of course, doing his interview with Tom. I think they had questions being asked online, so actually people were asking questions. So I'll be interested to see when that comes out, because normally that conversation piece comes out with some pretty good info to allow us to know what's going on for the coming year.
Yeah, speaking with Chris, he had, a lot of those questions were in the interview, so I'm sure there's going to be some breaking news or at least some updates regarding not only the Super Nats but 2019 Winter Series and the 2019 SCUSA Pro Tour. So, but again, a lot of people are questioning. There's questions as to where the winter Nats are going, where the spring Nats are going, what categories we're going to run. Obviously, we're going to have micro, mini, junior, master, and senior. It's what do we do with the shifters? And I think if they introduce that the SSE engine, it should work, because you still have the guys that want to go national racing with shifter kart engines. So.
Yeah, I don't, it's an interesting thing, because do you bring that engine in and get it rolling for the top level guys? Do you still have another senior shifter for Honda still? I don't know. And then again, like you said, do you even make the jump with the Masters guys anymore if they're not going to come out and play? I don't know. It's interesting. Lots to come, of course, from Superkarts USA to find out what's going to happen for 2019. That wraps up our Paddock Pass. We're going to jump into the race report after this break and actually start going class by class, give you an update on what happened on track. David and I will talk about some of the shenanigans that happened in a number of the classes. Otherwise, when we get back after this commercial break, it's time to talk racing here on the EKN Debrief.
For over a century, Briggs & Stratton has had a commitment and passion for racing. It's a DNA found in every engine we build today. So whether you kart race, Baja, race quarter midgets, or believe that dirt and snow are just God's way of adding to the challenge, the dedicated spirit of every Briggs & Stratton employee stands at the fence waiting for the green flag to drop. Briggs & Stratton Racing. What powers you?
SCUSA's national #1 plate, one of the most sought-after trophies in the sport. 3G Kart Racing is the proud owner of a #1 plate for 2018, thanks to the performance of our championship-winning driver, Jordan Musser. In 2017, Jordan topped the S4 field to win the title aboard his 3G Kart Racing Fisher-powered Barellard. Like Jordan, we're dedicated to winning, and we can help you succeed as well. We're located in Katy, Texas, and we proudly support our local club, the Gulf Coast Karters. We also hit the road to compete regionally in the Texas Pro Kart Challenge and nationally on the Superkarts USA Pro Tour. We support top-quality race-winning material, Barellard, Intrepid, Miami, Fisher, and TrueTech racing engines. From new kart purchase and professional assembly to a full trackside support program, 3G's customer service is second to none. Our extensive inventory, backed by knowledgeable people, will keep you up front on the track.
Welcome back to episode number 31 of the EKN Debrief. Rob Howden and David Cole breaking down the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Summer National season finale at Newcastle Motorsports Park. The race report. Let's jump into it. This race report presented by Nitro Kart. If you've got a racer just starting out in cadet racing or already racing but ready to take the next step onto the podium, you need a Nitro Kart. 2018 has already seen many Nitro Kart drivers score wins in SCUSA, WKA, and USPKS competition, and even more at the club level. Whether you're racing 2-cycle or 4-cycle, Nitro Kart has you covered with the best cadet chassis on the market. Nitro Kart. Race one or chase one. All right, David, let's jump in here. It's time to talk racing. X30 Senior, 73 drivers coming in. And this is the line I like, and we talked about last chance qualifiers. I like it when just making the main is an impressive feat. You know what I mean? Just those guys are able to make it to the main. 44 in. You know, the other 30 guys or 29 guys didn't make the main. They had to come back on Sunday to go fighting for it. I love that. For me, I think that's a cool deal. I think that's the challenge at this level of competition. But in race number one, bottom line is Brandon Jarsakrak was the guy to jump to the forefront in the main event.
Yeah, he was. And again, like you said, I've been when the Rock Island Grand Prix had LCQs for senior, I was one of those guys that thought it would be cool just to make the main. And unfortunately I didn't, but that's a whole nother podcast. We'll get into that later. But yeah, Jarsakrak, he's had a pretty solid resume at Newcastle. It's probably one of his most favorite and most successful tracks, winning last year at the Pro Tour, winning a lot at WKA and USPKS. Came in with 2 wins at USPKS 2 weeks ago and was among the contenders right away. He was able to win the pre-final B and start on the front row alongside pre-final A winner Johnny Edgar, who is the 2015 Super Nationals Tag Cadet winner and 2017. Yeah, I know. And then last year it was OK Junior champion in Europe. So yeah, the kid's just been super on the progressive ladder right from the start. But then then to add in Luke Selikin, a 2012 SCUSA Pro Tour Junior champion. So it was there's no doubt about it. This was probably one of the most deepest fields that we've had at a Pro Tour event.
Yeah, other than the Super Nats, no question. Nothing. I don't think anything challenges it in the 9 years. Of course, in the first 7 years, the Super Nationals was the finale. Those racing obviously huge. But for a regular non-Super Nats Pro Tour, this was the deepest field we've ever had. You just kept going through and seeing Canadian champions, junior, senior, whatever, cadet guy. It was tremendous for sure. Let's talk about the battle. Obviously, Edgar and Selikin right in there. Jarsakrak holding off Edgar. Ryan Norberg again, not surprising, right? Into the fight again. This guy there's a consistency there for Ryan. Of course, he's with PSL karting on the Burrell. Man, he's just good. He's just good.
He's just good. Well, and he was consistent because he wasn't the fastest guy, but he was always, he was there in the pre-finals towards the front and never really got, he wasn't shuffled back at all at the start of the final and was able to just keep himself in contention. So he didn't have quite the fastest kart, but to finish third behind Jarsakrak and Edgar on Saturday really probably put the confidence, not only confidence, but gave him the opportunity to go into the Sunday knowing that he didn't have to go out and win.
Yeah, he needed that first one, right? It's obviously a double race weekend, and you get one drop. And that first race of the weekend on championship weekend, you get that first one done, you get that podium, it just opens the door for Sunday. You don't have to perform on Sunday, but you can, whatever you got to do. And again, you're right. The word you said was consistent. That's how he was all weekend long. So Jarsakrak with the win, Edgar in second, and Ryan Norberg third. Sunday, the Canadians came to the forefront. One of our title contenders, Samuel Lupien with Rollison Performance Group, fast time in qualifying. He wins pre-final A. Ryan McDermott, running for Trevor Wicken's Prime Power team on the Burrell, wins pre-final B. So it's an all-Canadian front row.
Yeah, it was. This was a pretty good outing for Ryan. And Lupien needed to do what he, needed to be up front all day long, because as we said, Norberg getting that podium on Saturday really gave Norberg the advantage going into Sunday. Well, Lupien still had an outside chance going in on the day, because again, Norberg had a DNF at NOLA on the opening day. So a DNF for Norberg on Sunday would have pretty much opened the door for Lupien, should he be on the podium.
Yeah, you were feeding me the stats all weekend long, and I do appreciate that. As we went into the main on Sunday as well, that was on my note, the notes you gave to me. Norberg just needed to finish P11, right? And he's going to win the championship. DNF, and he's in trouble. But P11, I think it was P12 and P13, he was going to be okay. We win the championship if he had fast time of the race as well to get those 10 bonus points. He needed that to lock things down. He ends up finishing 7th to earn his 3rd straight title. An amazing run for Norberg. But in the race itself, McDermott, last lap battle, the guys were on top of each other. The final couple laps of that race were tremendous. He gets the win. Lupien in 2nd. Alex Bertignoli up to 3rd. It's probably his best SCUSA Pro Tour senior run, just to be so impressive there on Sunday.
Well, that's actually his 2nd podium this season. So it matched what he did in NOLA. So another, stayed out of trouble, had the speed, kind of like a Norberg pace where he had the speed, but wasn't quite the quickest guy. Lupien actually was, I think, back to 8th at one point early on. Because he got shuffled back at the start. So I think Lupien had fast lap of the race because he was the quickest guy on the track. And then once he joined, Edgar and McDermott and Bertignoli, it kind of triggered everybody like, oh, we got to go now. So that's when the racing kind of happened in the last couple of laps. But yeah, for McDermott, very big win for him. Able to get out ahead during right before the white flag, and then just held on to the final circuit, never put a tire wrong to earn his first SCUSA Pro Tour victory.
Yeah, I wondered if something was going to happen on that run out of 13 all the way down to the I-70 left-hand hairpin, but they kind of battled behind him even more. He was able to get out clean. They were battling like crazy for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, so he might have got a little bit lucky there, but it was able to come out and clean and get the job done. And again, for the young Canadian driver, a huge victory for him. And again, we got to cap off this segment just saying 3 straight back-to-back championships for Ryan Norberg in the Pro Tour. That's unprecedented in the 9 years of the tour, David. But considering the level of competition over the years, to be able to win 3 in a row, to me, it's absolutely so impressive against these drivers that we have here.
It was very impressive, and a very humble person. Not outlandish, not outspoken. I think he was very humbled champion to win.
Agreed. All right, let's move into X30 Junior, David. Pre-final winners Arias Dukmejian and Connor Zilic kind of set the tone for the final on Friday. Both those drivers looked very good. They, I almost want to say they were able to kind of lead at will. They were very comfortable. They sat 2nd for a bit. They'd make the move when they needed to. It just seemed very apparent that both those drivers were really on their game and were ready to go at it in the main event.
They were. Zilic, I think, coming back from racing over in Italy for the last couple of weeks, I think his trip over there really built the confidence, because again, we're talking about a junior rookie. He was really good in the cadet level. Obviously his size kind of, he's not very big as a junior driver, but we're seeing that a lot with a lot of the first year junior drivers. But I think he built that confidence and going to a track like Newcastle, where he's very familiar and knows how to win there. So I think that really helped him coming into this weekend. But Arias, obviously, with his wins at the Spring Nats, the confidence was already there, and it continues to build. And I don't want to look ahead, but I maybe we won't see him back in karting again. I don't know.
You never know. You're right. Like, he could be making the move to cars in the near future. Let's talk about the race. Cap it off. Connor Zilic battling with Dukmejian. Eventually, Zilic takes control. He ends up getting the provisional victory. It's tough to say. They actually laid down a 5-second penalty for jump start. He was on the outside, I believe, and just jumped it just a little bit. He ends up dropping to 8th in the order. Reese Gold, who finishes 2nd, goes up for the victory. Mateus Morgado in 2nd, and Santiago Trissini rounding out the podium. Always tough. And the race directors hate it too. They don't want to give the penalty, but jump starts are pretty darn easy to see when we had that punch off cone and that kind of acceleration window. It's pretty easy to see it there, and they were all standing right there. So,
well, yeah, they've kind of set the precedent now. I hate it. I don't like the rule that they have in place for it because, again, dating back to when we all started racing, it was the pole setter sets the pace, and as long as the outside pole isn't ahead of you, it's good to go. And now we have this really cookie cutter type, wannabe NASCAR situation where no, you can't go until this cone. And so it adds more pressure to the pole sitter to where he should have the ability to go when he wants and when not to go. And that's
we talk about it, David. It's almost a penalty to be on the pole.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's almost a penalty. You almost rather start.
I'd rather start third
because yeah, you're right, dude. You're right.
Because
you're
if the pole sitter jump starts, I'm probably going to be ahead of second place. So that puts me in second, and then he's going to get a penalty. So I'm first. There you go.
There you go. We should start awarding 10-point bonuses for qualifying third, not first. I agreed. It's, we're lifelong race guys. You and I talk about stock car racing all the time too, and whatever it may be. It's, I'm with you. I'm more of the let them come down, let the pole sitter set the pace, and give the green flag to Aaron Likens, let him throw them when he thinks they're good to go. Let's just go racing. It's just
that's part of the problem. They don't throw a green flag. They do the lights. They stupid lights. We almost got them not to put them up. It would have been such a great atmosphere change because again, nobody can see the lights except for the drivers. How are we supposed to know?
Yeah. I honestly can't. I like to give my green call. I can't do that until honestly, the first guy I look at is one of the guys with the yellow flags. I got to make sure they're not going to go full course yellow, through the yellow, because I can't see the lights either. And it's you and I are the same on that. We're not. Let's put that one to the side. In the race itself, let's cap it off. Duke Medjian finishing in fourth position, like Norberg, that really good, solid opening race for the weekend. Duke Medjian ends up finishing in fourth, gives him solid control in the standings heading into Championship Sunday. We move to Sunday. Zilich again, super quick, and another one of the young junior drivers who stepped up to be like one of the lead junior drivers in the country now, Jeremy Fairburn. He and Zilich winning the Sunday pre-finals. Yeah,
Fairburn really came in on a roll, winning in GoPro and the USPKS, winning at WK at Norway, and then winning again at Newcastle for USPKS. So I think, him being probably the tallest driver in the paddock, not only in junior, but maybe even senior as well, too. He kind of has that Formal type stature to where even though he's not wide, but he's using his body to kind of just put the cart exactly where he wants it in this weird type of posture that he has. It's not weird, but just to be able to move the upper body and to kind of get that extra little grip to either flare the cart to the inside or jump out to the outside. So it was he's really got the car control down a lot because we're seeing him really at the front at all the races throughout the year.
It's funny you bring up Danny Formal because they had that similar stature where he's not crouched over. He's almost leaned further back. Yeah. Got the straight arms. He's got the whole back. Like he really uses the body. I agree with you on that. He's been able to get a feel for how to make the car work as well when he is as tall as he is. So we go into the main event. And an issue that we've talked about for the last couple of years, drivers ignoring yellow flags that just drives us all crazy. A hard wreck coming out at essentially the I-70 straightaway, out of 13 down to 14. A couple drivers get together. One is right in the middle of the racetrack, backwards, pointing towards the field. SCUSA flag guys, marshals are out there furiously waving yellow flags, and these kids have their heads down. Nobody lifts. Nobody puts their hand in the air. And one of the guys who was 100 yards away from the incident when it happened, drives right into the guy in the middle of the racetrack. It's tough to see that. I know that you and I feel the same way about yellow flags. I wish there's something they could do. I really wish there's some way. That's the one thing now, David, right? We've complained about racecraft and it's getting better. There's no pushback bumper for a kid putting his hand up or slowing down a bit on a yellow. It's just something
no,
to teach.
no, there really isn't. And again, it's because they're putting their heads down, they're tucking, they're not looking past the rear bumper of the cart ahead of them.
Yeah.
That is part of racecraft. That really is. But again, you can't. There's no Band-Aid for it. There's no way to teach that other than a proper driver coach showing a driver how to look ahead and be aware. Because again, if you see that trouble, you're going to have to figure out an exit plan or find a way to not only get away from the stranded cart in the middle of the racetrack, but not to run over or get run over by carts ahead of you and behind you.
It's funny because, this is X30 Junior, David. If it were to happen on the street in your car, if somebody spins in front of you in your car, you're going to put the brakes on. You're immediately going to slow down, right? To make sure you don't get caught into that wreck if you're on the highway. These kids, of course, never driven on the highway by themselves. So, there's not one person on the highway that's going to be at 100, whatever, 80 miles an hour on cruise control and not put the brake on if there's a wreck. That's what they're doing nowadays. They don't even lift, right? There's a wreck in front of them and they just power through. And it's something that will obviously be, I think, the next thing up. Because I think that Joe Janowski, he's fed up with it as well. He's trying to figure out a way to get these kids to heed yellow flags. That's, again, another topic. Well, let's not take the entire time up focusing on that. But it is an issue. There was a huge wreck at the start of the race. We went red for quite a while. Thankfully, both drivers unharmed. That's great. They were able to get up and walk away, which is great. Otherwise, let's get back into the race. Had some wild laps, David, in terms of guys back and forth. Fairburn eventually gets to the lead, but man, the racing was pretty frenetic for a while there near the end of the race.
It was, because there wasn't really any clear-cut driver that was standing out until Fairburn actually gained control of the lead and was able to drive off to the victory. Luca Mars kind of followed up and caught up to him at the end and just came up just short at the line. And then Morgado with another podium on the weekend, finishing in third. Dugmejian was right there again in fourth, and that finish secured his SCUSA Pro Tour title. Yeah,
pretty impressive for Arias, right? Just we've kind of watched him develop over the last couple of years, and to be able to roll in there and win that championship in X30 Junior, good for him. A couple of really consistent finishes. Congrats to Arias Dugmejian and his crew for scoring that title. Let's cap off, David, this first segment of the race report. Again, this race report brought to you by Nitro Karts. X30 Masters. I'll let you get things underway, but the bottom line, Leonardo Nienkotter came into the event. This guy wants the title. I was thrilled to have him come and play for the whole season, but he was focused on getting this title. He was fast out of the box in qualifying.
Well, you knew when he was at the Winter Nationals that Leonardo was going to be among the championship contenders. Yeah. So when he came, obviously into the weekend as still in the hunt, he turned up the wick at trying to get there. As you said, came out of the box fast, setting fast time in qualifying. USPKS winner Scott Roberts actually beat him in the rest of the field for the pre-final win.
You did say, hey, when we did the debrief for the USPKS race 2 weeks ago at Newcastle, you said Scott Roberts was going to be in the hunt, and you were right.
Well, yeah, and the thing about it is Scott wasn't actually scheduled to race until after the USPKS weekend because his tuner, Richie Warren, was actually hired to work for another guy. And so Scott said, hey, I'm going to be in Newcastle again in 2 weeks. And so Richie actually couldn't get out of the other job. So Scott had a different tuner this weekend, but still had Alex Speed behind him, under the Speed Concepts Racing tent. So him and Alex worked really well together as well, too. So, but yeah, Roberts obviously loves this racetrack and was able to beat everybody in the pre-final. So him and Nienkotter kind of went back and forth in the main event. You throw in Martin Pierce and you throw in Jess Peterson, who came in from the tail of the field after a DNF in the pre-final. So it was a really great race between all those guys. Nienkotter, though, was able to master Peterson in the final lap, scoring his second victory of the season. And then with Peterson and Jonathan Silva actually sliding up to complete the podium.
Yeah, Jonathan's really kind of dialing things in, isn't he? He's been doing a lot of racing. Of course, he's working with Austin Garrison too to get some coaching, but it's cool, man. He's doing a lot of racing, and I like this. He's become one of the guys a top 5, top 6, top 7 guy. Not saying that's where he finishes all the time, but I mean, he's one of those guys now, Jonathan Silva, that when you come to a race, you know he's going to be in the fight for either the race winner or a podium. He's got to that level, I think.
Yeah, he was at the USPKS weekend at Newcastle, so I think him being at that event and then coming back 2 weeks later, I think that really helped his pace. I know he was fast at Ocala as well too. He wasn't quite there, I don't think, in Phoenix. Again, Phoenix is kind of a hit or miss. Either you're on it or you're not. But yeah, definitely Silva is stepping up to be one of the regular Masters driver we have contending for podium finishes.
So championship leader Paulo Lopez ends up finishing the 6th position, putting he and Nienkader with a 3-point difference heading into Sunday. Obviously, this championship was going to come down to these two guys essentially going head-to-head on Championship Sunday. But, David, we start off qualifying on Sunday for X30 Masters, and it's a joke, essentially, right? It was just a group of the front-running guys came out together, and they were doing that cat and mouse, kind of driving around super slow. They all wanted to get in line with each other. They drove around almost 2 full laps at super slow speed, just kind of putting around. They would dive across the other side of the racetrack. It was like they wanted to make sure nobody behind them was going to line up with them and learn their line or draft off them, whatever it was. We see that, of course, on a regular basis now. And trust me, the race directors want to end that quickly. They're trying to figure out a way to end it. So this track's long. It's a mile long. It's at speed, a 104 or something like that for the X30 guys. The slow out lap before they even get around to get the first lap. It's like by the time these guys finally start to spool up, David, there was I think 2 minutes remaining. So the fast guys, the guys who were racing for the race win, end up getting just 2 fast laps in. It was ridiculous.
Well, it's not hard to get rid of it. We just set a maximum lap time that they can go. Say within 5 seconds of a regular lap time. If you're over that, you lose your 2 fast laps. And if you don't have a fast lap, well, you're going to start last. Agreed. So that's one way that we'll try and get Joe Janowski to look at for the future. I mean, because for X30 Senior, X30 Junior, you can use it for all the categories. Maybe even in S1. I mean, we see this a lot of times in the S1 group, so where they'll just roll out and goof off and play cat and mouse games and not try and lay down a fast lap.
And we didn't see this, of course, in X30 Master, but we also see a lot of times when guys are going to go out there and do that, and they impede a guy on a fast lap. Somebody's gone out early, they're on a fast lap, and these guys impede them. We saw it a lot at Phoenix.
Was close.
Phoenix, it was horrible. That was bad. It was close
because there was a group that they kind of mingled in. I think they tried to gap each other, but I believe there were penalties laid out for impeding.
There you go. All right. So when it's all said and done, Laurent Mardan on the pole, driver who swept the weekend at the Summer Nats the year before, driver of the Technokart USA entry. Mardan, fast time. Scott Roberts though steps to the forefront to win the pre-final. Leonard Nienkader, actually, after the issue, he's one of the guys that got caught out. He's able to climb his way up to 3rd position, moves to the lead in the championship battle with the points. But David, man, the final was, of course, you knew Nienkader, the experience. He was very likely going to step up and win that championship. We've seen it many, many times. We've seen it at least 3 times at the Super Nats. So, where he wasn't the dominant driver, but found his way to the top of the podium. And again, starting 3rd, was able to jump out to the lead, and so led all but the opening lap, and was able to score his 3rd victory of the season to clinch the title. Paulo Lopez finished in 2nd, but he got penalized. Avoidable contact.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where and what that happened, but obviously Lopez was basically fighting for his life. Obviously with Nienkader being out front, he wanted to at least do the best that he could, and obviously something happened to where the officials deemed it was a penalty.
Jess Peterson and Martin Pierce back on the podium. Good to have Martin Pierce over here. It's been a while. Obviously, a top driver in Rotax competition, but good to have him out running with the boys in X30 Master. It was fun. Good to see him back out.
Yeah, a little trivia trivia question. What year did he win at the Rock Island Grand Prix?
Okay. I'm going to say 2002.
Wow, you're so off.
Was it how far off was I?
Yeah, because I was there.
So it was 4.
So no. I'm gonna give some time here. Just let's go to commercial. I'm gonna give some people some time so that way when we come back they can think about it or even look it up on the internet and then we'll give them the answer.
Yes, Martin Pierce was a winner. Dave, what chassis was he on?
Oh, that one I know. Yeah,
that's easy.
I know that one. I don't want to give the answers. We'll both give our answers after the commercial break.
After the commercial break. All right, stick with us, folks. More to come. Even annoying David Cole with his trivia. Stick with us. The Kart Republic has arrived in the USA, and it's taking the world by storm. Kartsport North America is the country's importer and distributor for Diano Chiesa's Kart Republic chassis, and as a leader in American karting, they are focused on providing stability for the sport and quality products and service for the community. Kart Republic is racking up the wins and championships, beginning with the 2018 SCUSA Winter Series X30 Senior title in February. They just added the USPKS Miami Senior Championship and both the Micro and Mini Swift crowns of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. Kart Republic's resume includes wins from all over the world, including this year's European Championships. The Kart Republic Senior and Junior chassis are on fire, and so is the new Mini Kart, which is winning in both SCUSA and USPKS competition. The team has seats available for the SuperKarts USA Super Nationals in November, so call us today to reserve your own winning Kart Republic. Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on the site of GoPro Motorplex, Kartsport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. In addition to the Kart Republic distribution, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and the top brands in the sport, such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF Bearing, and Prisma tire gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they have driver training and coaching programs available, trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at www.kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components you need. Kartsport North America, top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services. Give us a call today. From coast to coast, Miami has become the two-cycle engine of choice for American karting. Starting with the air-cooled 60cc Swift engine and moving through to the incredible X30 power plant, Miami is providing much-needed stability for the sport. The Swift and X30 engines are the backbone of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Pro Kart Challenge Series, as well as the USPKS, the Route 66 Sprint Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup. We're thrilled to introduce the new Miami KA100 Rejet engine with a special introductory price of just $16.95 until the end of February. The new engine is getting rave reviews and will be part of the USPKS, Route 66, and WKA Man Cup programs in 2018. Watch for more regions of the country to get on board with this new formula. We have 2 distribution centers in the U.S. to serve you well. Miami East in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Miami West in Temecula, California. The momentum is continuing to build, so it's time to make an investment in stabilizing your engine program. For more information on Miami, head to the website for your region, MiamiUSAEast.com or MiamiUSAWest.com. Welcome back to episode number 31 of the EKN Debrief. It's a long one. We still got a long way to go, and we're an hour into the show. All right, David, the other side, again, this is the race report. We're going to talk S1, S2, work our way through here. Again, Nitro Kart, the sponsor of our race report here this weekend. What's the trip? Let's get back to the trivia. Martin Pierce, he won Rock Island in Tag Senior.
What was the year?
I don't know what the year was. He was on a wild cart.
So, that was part 2 of the question.
Okay, so on a wild cart, I thought it was I said 2002, but you're saying you were there.
I was there.
What was I thought you were there in 2004.
2004 was my first year, yes. And
What?
Martin Pierce came in 2006 to win the Tag Senior race for Wildcard. We were all like,
Wow.
Who is this guy? And he came over on the wild cart, and that really kind of boost that brand up for a couple of years. And
ironically, there you go. Good.
That same year, Lawson won 4 straight or 4 wins. That
4 wins. Would have thought. All right. All right, you would have thought. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's just jump back into the race report here, David. S1, 10 drivers in the field, but a really, really strong list of drivers. Hunter Pickett, again, here's a guy that's this is an impressive young kid, right? He's really become one of the top drivers in S1. I remember following him through S2 and staying there one more year to learn how to win races. Now the guy can win S1 races. This kid's just on the Sody kart, Pickett Racing, just pretty darn impressive.
He has speed. There's no doubt about that. It was always racecraft that he keeps working on, and he keeps getting better. And obviously, this time was the best on Saturday. Was a little bit slower on cold tires, but I think they had the setup for later in the race because everybody else didn't have the setup. And Pickett was there at the end to be the quickest driver at the end because him and French, both on the Sody karts, were fast. Pickett winning fast time in qualifying, French earning the pre-final win. But Pickett actually was the quickest guy in the final. French kind of fell off, stuck his power plant towards the end of the race, and just had a better pace than Myers and Musgrave, and was able to steal the victory from all of them.
AJ Myers, very impressive as well. A guy that came in knowing that he had a chance to win this championship as well, steal it away from Billy Musgrave. Pickett, of course, with the win, as you said. That victory, and with Myers leading Musgrave was fourth, I believe. Myers second. Was French third?
French crossed the line and barely crossed the line. Yeah, barely crossed the line. Actually, I think he was one of 2 that I saw because I think Rob Logan was another driver across the start finish line just as the engine either seized or ran out of gas, one or the other.
So with that, pardon me, title chase definitely tightening up with Myers kind of taking the lead position coming into Championship Sunday. It's, of course, the TB Kart USA guy. We know he can win at Newcastle. He did the same thing. He won a couple of years ago, won both main events. This is a guy that's just such a talent. And on the TB Kart, a big, we'll roll into it, but a big championship for AJ Myers. He's able to get the job done on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, the title was his to lose, really, going into Sunday, and Myers just stepped up and made it known that he was the guy to beat. Going out, clearing the field by, I think, 0.13 of a second in qualifying, which in S1 is normally tighter, and then just dominated both the pre-final and final, leading all of those laps to score maximum points and lock up the Pro Tour title.
Yeah, Jake French coming home in second, and Kyle Wick rounding out the podium in S1 on Championship Sunday. Easily the top rookie of the year in the S1 class. Here's a kid that coming in from S2, stepped up at S2 to run S1 at the Supernats last year. Runs with Mike Rawlison on the CRG. Young kid that's just, man, he's just bad fast and stepped it up to race against the big dogs all season long, coming home with the national number 2 plate. Pretty impressive for Kyle Wick.
Yeah, very, very impressive. He was able to jump ahead of Musgrave in the points chase to take the number 2 plate away. So that puts Musgrave at the number 3. And it's just another year that, Musgrave has to look at it as pretty much a disappointment, knowing that he had the title in hand, and it just kind of slipped away from him.
True enough. Luckily, he's got that Super Nationals win from last year to keep himself happy and sleep at night. That's for sure.
Good point.
Musgrave's still the national number 1 ranked driver by eKartingNews.com. He won the Supernats last year, just easily one of the top shifter kart drivers in the country, coming home P3, so he'll have the number 3 plate next year. Speaking of guys moving up, not so much moving up if we end up with an open class, a senior shifter, combined class. A couple of kids in S2 who really have kind of turned things up this year, David. Texan Blair Hosey qualified on the pole, pitting with Musgrave Racing Company on an Aluminos chassis. He sweeps the day, qualifying pole, pre-final, final, his first ever Pro Tour race win. I've had a chance to watch Blair run down in Texas with the Texas Pro Kart Challenge, and just doing a tremendous job. He battling with Max Hewitt. Those 2 drivers really going at it on the regional level as well. Hewitt with CRG Nordam, had to come for the tail of the field. Or, he had an issue, I believe, with DQ. He left Tech early, I think. Is that indeed what happened?
That is what the results said. I didn't talk to him specifically about that, but results said that he left early. So, it's a penalty because he started from the back. He
drives to the field. This kid is tremendous.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it on the Sunday race, but in the Sunday main event, for a majority of that race, he had the fastest outright time, faster than the S1 guys as well. In fact, he was able, even with the split start, to work his way up and get past a couple of the other S1 drivers on the racetrack. He finished, I think, sixth overall or something like that in total. So on Sunday, he loses his carb at the start of the pre-final. Not even at the start. I think when they were coming around to the grid, wasn't it? Or was it right at the very start? Whatever it was, he's off the side of the racetrack. Carb falls off. He's got to come from the tail again in the final once again on Championship Sunday. And he put a show on. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, as you said, he was putting down lap times better than some of the S1 drivers, working his way through the tail end of that field, even after the split start. So to be able to go through the entire S2 field and then start going through some of the S1 field, very impressive. So definitely the Texas area has the shifter studs once again. Obviously with Jake French winning last year, now we have some S2 guys from Texas definitely carrying the Lone Star State flag.
Yeah, we just look at it, right? It's Hewitt, it's Hosey, it's French, it's Jordan Musser, it's Ryan Kinnear. It's just Texas is such a hotbed for great stock Honda racing. All in all, Blair Hosey ended up finishing in second place, easily his best career Pro Tour weekend, gets the win. Lopez, though, coming home, David, on a podium, sixth straight podium. On the podium every race this year for Lopez. He ends up winning the SCUSA Pro Tour title for Rawlson Performance Group. That kind of consistency is what it takes. And he came in, I think he won all the first four races, and then there's a couple of third place finishes here to walk away with the championship. Yeah,
I'm sure he probably would have loved to have had 6 straight wins to end the season. Obviously, coming in with 4 was very impressive, especially being a S2 rookie, never been in a shifter kart till this winter when he raced at the SCUSA Winter Series. So the RPG staff really did a great job with developing him quickly, and to be able to leave the season with a Pro Tour title is very impressive.
Let's move to the S4 Master category, Master Stock Honda for drivers 30 years of age and older. It was just a continuation of the Jordan Musser, Ryan Kinnear battle. Jordan with the 3G Kart Racing Burrell Arts, Ryan moving over to Phil Giebler Racing on the Ricardo, and they probably weren't separated by 2 or 3 kart lengths the entire weekend long. That was the battle, back and forth on both days. Yes,
it's something we've seen all season long. I mean, those two have been 1 and 2 nearly all the sessions, aside from Jimmy McNeil stealing some of the spotlight there in NOLA. But Musser was able to fight off Kinnear on Saturday, earning his 3rd straight victory of the season, with Nathan Stewart, the Kiwi. We got to come up with a nickname, but the Kiwi joining them on the podium on Saturday.
Yeah, Sunday, pretty much the same. This time it was Kinnear actually sweeping the day. Strong run in qualifying, able to beat Musser in the pre-final. They got pretty aggressive, actually, in the main event, too, battling back and forth, some hardcore racing into the final corner. And then also, I think they got together one time. Didn't get together. Musser made a good move to the inside of one, and Ryan wasn't having any of it. And pinched him across, and Musser got into the curb a little bit in turn number 1. It's just good hardcore racing. They had their elbows up. Kinnear gets his win, his 2nd of the year. Musser settles for 2nd, though, David, but locks up the championship by with 5 straight podium finishes, his 3rd championship at SuperKart USA competition. Pretty impressive. 9 years of the series, he's been the champion of S4 3 times.
Very, very impressive. Add in the 4 Rotax Grand National Championships that he has there. That's 7 since 2002. Definitely makes him one of the karting elites here in the United States. But talking with Musser, he also said it was probably one of the more difficult ones, having Kinnear literally 20 feet away from him all weekend long, not only on track, but in the paddock, because they were tended under the same tent.
And we'll cap this off. Rob Logan had some issues on the weekend getting things dialed in. He was third on the podium on Sunday. And this is kind of interesting, David, because, looking forward, we're talking about guys like Kinnear and Musser. We've seen decreasing participation in the S4 Masters class. It would be tough if we didn't have Kinnear and Musser racing somewhere nationally next year. They're just this is what these guys do. This is who they are. You know what I mean? We've watched them as badass seniors, and then they became kind of the stars of the Masters category. I'm really hoping somehow we figure out a way for Masters to be back on the Pro Tour again for 2019.
Yeah, I don't see these guys moving to X30 at all. No possible way. So, but again, I don't think we're not going to see Masters racing. I really don't. I think we're going to see some type of class. We're not going to see the split between S4 and S4 Supermaster that we've had, but I think we're going to have some type of shifter kart category at the Pro Tour.
So for the Masters class, Supermaster rather, S4, Musgrave Racing Company Luminos driver John Crow sweeping the action on Saturday to essentially lock up the provisional title. One of the things about John Crow, and we'll talk about just the race itself, but David, here's a guy that just absolutely committed to the program this year. Health, fitness, his diet, testing like crazy. He went after this championship, grabbed it, and committed to it and won it. I think he deserves a lot of kudos for doing what it took this year to win that title.
Yeah, it wasn't that he just got into a kart during race weekends. It's nearly every day, or at least once or twice a week, or during the week, with going out with Billy Musgrave and just pounding out laps. And as you said, off the track, taking care of his body, doing a lot of the nutrition stuff that he's been doing. Really worked hard at it to be a SCUSA Pro Tour champion.
So Crow drives away with the victory on Saturday in the final over CKR driver Mike Rivera, who was really impressive on the weekend. Mike was right in the hunt, had the same pace as Crow for much of the time. He battled it out with Rod Clenard from CRG Nordam. They were on the podium, of course, for the first final. On Sunday, Clenard and Witternat's Mike Jones kind of stepped up. Good old Mike Jones battling out there with the Sodi karts, and he was kind of on fire, and almost like he was just motivated to kind of get the elbows up and go at it because he was quick out of the box.
Yeah, it was the pre-final on Sunday was pretty extraordinary because there was one point when they went 3 wide into turn 1. I think it was Crow in the middle or Clenard in the middle, whatever, and Jones just bolted right into the inside of both of them, and kind of took advantage of that. But Jones actually suffered a mechanical on the opening lap of the final, so that kind of diminished any thoughts of a good race going on in the final.
I'll give you my feel of that because I'm obviously calling it, right? So they come down the straightaway right at us. Clenard's leading the way. Clenard's out to the right side going into 1. Crow looks to the inside. He's going to the inside. Well, what do you call it? Jones had such a full head of steam, got the draft. He goes all the way to the bottom, and they're right. They were essentially 3 wide going to the apex. Crow backed out of it and went, okay, I'm good. I don't need this right now. And Jones dove through to take the spot. It was an awesome pass, well-timed and aggressive and decisive, and he ends up taking that pass. But as you said, ends up with that mechanical in the opening lap of the final. Crow ends up winning his 5th race of the year to celebrate the title, kind of putting the exclamation point on it. Rod Clenard was there, but just couldn't quite keep up with him. And then again, Mike Rivera back again on the podium. A great weekend for Mike Rivera.
It was a good weekend. I think he was very happy with the performance he had. Obviously, to be able to keep pace with Clenard and a little bit for Crow was very impressive for him. And again, it's tough to see this category kind of go away because, again, it brought in some good racing for these old guys.
Yeah, it's the Supermasters class for 45 years of age and older. It was a category that a number of racers said, hey, listen, we're out here, we're 50, 55, whatever it may be, or guys that are just over 45, and we're battling it out with all these 31, 32-year-olds. It'd be cool if we had our own class. And it debuted at the California Pro Kart Challenge, and man, guys jumped on board. It actually brought a lot of guys that haven't raced in a while back out because they're going to get they had a chance to win. They had a chance to go racing again, and it really did get a lot of steam. And again, it's, I think, part and parcel of the issues going on with the stock Honda and the uncertainty. It's kind of the collateral damage. Well, I'm hoping that the class, the age group, at least the concept continues, at least at the regional level, because I think it's a good place and a good opportunity for these guys to continue to race for race wins, as opposed to driving around racing against guys, in some cases, 20 to 25 years younger than they are. We know Robert Marks, who's a badass, 56 years old. He's racing against guys he's almost twice as old as some of these guys he's racing at. So I love the Supermasters class. I hope they're able to figure out a way to get it to continue. David, let's go to Mini Swift, because 31 at Karts, I think they were able to get the extra to get the $1,000 purse added on. Man, just all in all, good racing, I think, in Mini Swift. But we did have a bit of a rough start to the season with a wreck in Friday practice.
Yeah, not only Friday practice, but Saturday warm-up. In both incidents, I think we trashed 3 karts, so that was a total of 6 karts that were trashed before even a green flag of racing or even qualifying began, which really, thankfully nobody was seriously hurt, but it just, there's something about Newcastle where, again, guys are driving with their heads down, not paying attention, not looking ahead. And that's exactly what happened in Saturday warm-up. And the Friday, I think, was just kind of just guys were being overzealous on Friday. And again, it's almost the fact where it's not so much these kids' fault. It's because they're being told, stay on this guy's ass. Do not leave that guy's bumper. And so that's what we're seeing. That's the result.
Yeah, you're right. It's the over-aggression in a practice session when you're out trying to dial the chassis, whatever it may be. Some of these guys are being told, as you said, to stay with that guy. You got to stay with him. You got to find that racing line that he's got, and they'll dive bomb into a corner to try to stay with that guy, and the other guy who's getting past is already kind of trying to fill back in. I hear you. It's tough. Let's talk more about the racing itself, though. On Saturday, kind of the arrival of Jace Park. To be honest, right? Just he's been good all year long, but big victory for him. His first on the Pro Tour. He wins on Saturday.
Yeah, it's something that he and his crew have been building towards. He's finally gotten that race pace that to be quick enough to be able to challenge. This time he was able to put it all together and to be able to not only win, but to win in impressive fashion, to be able to beat Kai Sorensen in what was a crazy last lap with those two going by each other 4 different times in just the last lap, and to be separated at the line by 0.005 of a second.
First, let's say that it was just that perfect racecraft and strategy out of Kai Sorensen too. They hooked up, he and Jace Park hooked up, and they pulled away from the field. They just absolutely walked away from the field. They were racing behind him for third, and he just pulled away, which is both those guys pulled away. They raced final lap, like you said, 4 different passes. I think there was 1 and 8, 1 and 11. I think we had one over in turn 13 and 1 and 14 as well. A crazy final lap. They come across the line separated by 0.005 of a second. Jace Park ends up with the big win. And again, Kai Sorensen finishing in second. Even though he didn't get the victory, it was a really solid race for Kai, coming out as, in the national level in Mini Swift racing. Big kudos as well for Annie Rule. She ends up in third spot, her first SCUSA Pro Tour podium in third. You get a lot of chance to watch Annie race, and we've been talking quite a bit about her this year, David. She's been on the podium. She's been winning some races. But wow, to be able to get on the podium in this field at the SCUSA Pro Tour, impressive for her.
Yeah, I think we kind of projected that when we talked about her at the USBKS debrief. So, it was, again, like as you said, they were fighting for third, and luckily she was able to win that battle and get away from the rest of the field and grab her first SCUSA Pro Tour podium.
Let's talk about Carson Morgan a little bit. Having some issues, but he remained the championship leader. Really probably just had to finish some races, but because he came in with such a big lead, but he actually had a pretty good weekend overall in terms of getting back to the front when he needed to.
He did. Very calculated driver, especially on Sunday, because I think he knew it was in his hand. So it was kind of the chance for him to go out and get the victory, which he did. Kind of as you said, Kai Sorensen, pushed Park away. Well, this time it was Morgan and Park who were able to push each other away and get away from the rest of the field. Morgan was able to get a better run off the I-70 corner on the last lap and was able to reach the finish line first.
Yeah, so he backs up his championship. Always cool when you can back up that championship, right? You get the first one, that's great. You had a good season, but when you back it up with another one, whether it's Ryan Norberger or back to back for Jordan Musser as well, to get that next one just kind of adds that panache to it. And again, you can win if you can win on Sunday and to get that title. That's the exclamation point you're looking for, right? You want to be able to be winning at the very end. Kai Sorensen completed a solid cap to the year for the Pro Tour. Another podium result as well for Kai.
Yeah, and it's kind of just adding on to Morgan's championship. Yep. That's 2 drivers now who have back-to-back championships. Can you name that other driver?
In that class? Yep. What are you doing this to me?
Come on. You talk about him all day at the IndyCar races.
Who is it?
He's an Indy Lights contender.
Really?
Come on.
Tell me who it is.
Come on.
Was it all the way back? Was it all the way back to Colton Herta?
Yes. Colton Herta went back to back 2010, 2011.
2011. Wow.
Come on now.
I remember that now. I do remember what I do remember, and I brought it up to him one point. I remember that pass that Colton made at Sonoma for the race win. We were going, I think, in the reverse national, right? We were going counterclockwise, going down to the helipad area before tic-tac-toe. He goes from third to first in this dive move that was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, listen, I'm not ready for any trivia right now. Obviously.
No, you're not. I like to catch you off guard when you're not paying attention.
Well, I appreciate that. You got me on that one. 2010, 2011, and now the kid's racing. Number one, Colton's racing for an Indy Lights championship. You're right, battling another guy with SCUSA credentials, Super Nationals winner Pato Award. And they're going to go at it. Good possibility both those guys are going to be in IndyCar next year too, which is cool. All right, Dave, let's cap things off. We got one more to go. Micro Swift. These guys are just the racecraft. It's kind of ridiculous to me sometimes. Probably some of the best racecraft we see all weekend long. They're in the right position. If they're third, they're going to battle their way to second. They try to pull away. They're smart not to race with each other. Bottom line, Caleb Gaffera goes wire to wire on Saturday to claim his 3rd victory of the season. Pretty good run for Caleb. It
was. It's going into the weekend. Ben Mayer, Max Garcia in the championship hunt. Really anybody's to win. So Gaffar obviously struck first with the wire-to-wire win. Merlin driver Logan Julian was a close second for his first SCUSA podium, with Ben Mayer ending up 3rd. But Mayer actually needed a little bit more than 3rd to keep himself in the hunt, because Gaffar kind of took him out of the championship with the win. So going in on Sunday, it was really down to what Gaffar and Garcia would do in terms of the title hunt.
So Garcia stepping up, grabbing a fast time, and the 10 bonus points that came with it in qualifying. I think that was key. And then the other shift was the fact that Gaffera had trouble with the bad transponder, had lost the power out of the transponder, so he has no times at all. So here's Garcia starting on pole in the pre-final, and Caleb Gaffera starting dead last.
Yeah, it was. And then so Garcia was able to finish 3rd in the pre-final. Gaffar got up to as high as 8th or 7th, but finished 8th. So making the scenario for Garcia, putting it all in his hands, really. A win would have got the title, or second place with fast time would give him the title. So Gaffar needed to keep Garcia out of those top 2 positions or win to claim the title. So it was really exciting going into the main event.
Yeah, Gaffera had himself up to the very front, got to the lead, and of course, I think it was like a 4-cart battle up front. Contact in turn number 14, right? The I-70 hairpin contact. We didn't even see it. All of a sudden, they went up, they're over the rise. They come out of the corner, and there's only 3 carts left, and it was a leader. Caleb Gaffera was off the racetrack to the left side for contact. A lap later, Garcia's up front. You know what I mean? It's just it's crazy that Garcia was able to get to the front and get the job done as well.
Yeah, there was more contact a lap later between. I think it affected Mayer and Orlejo, and so that gave Garcia a big advantage, give him the lead, and basically the cruise to the victory.
Indeed, and as you said, Ben Mayer and Arjula both getting penalized, taking them off the podium. That brings the Margay driver Cameron Myers onto the podium, and Graham Tramble as well. First time onto the podium steps for both of those drivers. Garcia, of course, you think championship, David. Garcia, amazing qualifier, fast lap bonuses. He was able to get a lot of those 10-point bonuses for qualifying well and turning fast race laps. That was the difference when it all was all said and done.
It was because he had in Phoenix, he had the 2 top qualifier bonuses and 2 fast lap bonuses. So that was 40 points there. You add in the top qualifier on Sunday, that was another 10. So that's 50 points that he took away and gave him the championship.
Okay, folks, stick with us here. We're going to have one more quick break. When we come back, David and I will do the wrap-up of the weekend, and then we'll cap things off looking at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar, where we'll let you know where we're going to be in September, because it is a packed month of racing. When it comes to karting in NorCal, Cambrian Go-Karts is the go-to location for karts, engines, parts, accessories, and incredible service. We're located in Campbell, California, and we're dedicated to supporting NorCal karting. We're trackside for all the KPX Karting Championship and SuperKarts USA California Pro Kart Challenge events, and we stock everything you need for your IAME and Briggs engines, including X30, KA100, Swift, and the awesome 206. We're also an authorized Avinco tire dealer. Burrell Art and Ricardo Chassis are winning races from coast to coast. Cambrian Go-Karts is your Northern California source for these quality Italian-made karts, having been a proud dealer of the Burrell product line since we opened our doors in 2004. We're also a dealer for SodiKart, the brand that has become the leader in gearbox racing in the U.S. If you're in NorCal, the shop to visit if you're seeking incredible service and a dedication to supporting newcomers and experienced racers alike is Cambrian Go-Karts. Check us out online at CambrianGoKarts.com. You've heard the name VME Kart all winter. It's the hottest new chassis on the circuit, and it's time to get behind the wheel of one yourself. It doesn't matter what series, the VME Kart is running up front. The WK Manufacturers Cup, the SCUSA Winter Series, the Florida Winter Tour, the Challenge of the Americas. VME Kart is on fire. VME Kart USA is the new importer for Vince and Lorenzo Mandarino's creations, and we're ready to take the karting scene by storm. Colin Neal kicked off the 2018 season with 2 big wins on his VME kart at the WK Manufacturers Cup opener in Daytona. And then, Chase Gardner put the VME kart on top of the podium at the Rock Cup Challenge of the Americas opener in Phoenix in February. Big wins at big races, and there's much more where that came from. To learn about our chassis and our program, and to see what we're doing in U.S. karting every weekend, follow us on Facebook at VME Kart USA. Welcome back, folks, to episode number 31 of the EKN Debrief. It's been a long one. Lots and lots to talk about in what was a absolutely tremendous weekend at the SuperKarts USA Summer Nationals, the final round of the SCUSA Pro Tour. Championships on the line on Sunday. We've kind of run through and given you a full overview, a breakdown of all the main event racing that we saw. David Cole, let's wrap this thing up. All in all, I'm going to say best weekend of racecraft for the SCUSA Pro Tour we've seen in probably 3 or more years. Starts were really good. And there were issues on the track during racing. It's racing. It's motorsports. It's competition. It's wheel to wheel. You're going to have wrecks. You're going to have guys getting together. But all in all, I thought the racing was pretty impressive.
It was. The pushback bumper is doing its job at the starts. You can say this or that about the rest of the racing regarding the pushback bumper. But as you said, overall, the racing is a lot better. Guys are being a little bit smarter in some of the moves they're making, but we're still seeing some aggressive racing, which is what we want to see. You can be aggressive, but yet clean. We see that in some of the categories. We don't see that in some of the categories, but overall, it was to the numbers that we had. It was good. It was really clean racing.
I agree. And the numbers were encouraging for the sport. All in all, 76 drivers in X30 Senior when it's all said and done, 57 in X30 Junior. Those are numbers that are great for the national level. That's, we need great grassroots racing. We need strong clubs around the sport. We need really good regional programs that allow those club drivers to jump up for more competition. Top drivers, remember, all the clubs get together, strong regional racing, but we need to have good national racing as well. Good numbers, people coming out. It's good for the industry. It's good for the sport on the whole. And yeah, great numbers. Over 245 drivers for this year's Summer Nationals. David, the Summer Nationals was a cap to the 9th season of the SCUSA Pro Tour. Pretty impressive that they've got to the number 9. I've been doing this for 25 years now, and I think Before that, probably 5 or 6 was the longest anybody's ever gone. Maybe 7 if we're lucky. We're 9. Next year, they'll have their 10th year. I think it's fantastic for the sport to have some consistency and stability. Crown 9 champions: Ryan Norberg, Arias Dukmedjian, Leonardo Nienkotter, AJ Myers, Paulo Lopez. Was it Paulo or Pedro? Paulo. Paulo, yeah, Paulo in the other category. Pedro Lopez, Jordan Musser, John Crow, Carson Morgan, and Max Garcia. 9 champions to get the national number 1 plates for the Super Nats. Pretty cool deal for these kids. And again, they're all part of the SCUSA Circle of Champions, so they'll get free entries, tires, and fuel if they come back to defend the 1 next year.
Yeah, the X30 and the S1 champions also get money as well too. The HPD Honda drivers will get some the Honda bucks, I believe, for their championship programs. I believe there'll be some IME prizes as well too during all the celebrations that we'll probably have at the Super Nats.
Tickets to the international final as well.
Exactly. Yep. So we'll have Norberg, Dukmedjian, and Nienkotter and Morgan, all with the tickets to go there. So 3 from the U.S. and 1 from Brazil.
Let's talk about Ryan Norberg. 3rd straight title, unprecedented in modern day American karting at this level, to win 3 championships like he did. That's amazing to me.
It is. When you say modern day, we are in a different type of era, as you said. With being exactly. Superkarts USA being what it is. You have to go back to say maybe when Gary Carlton was dominating the ICC category, when we had 30 to 40 guys every weekend. Because really, the X30 senior category is that category now. So you kind of have to go back to that. Another example that, I've stated is Musser. He has 3 straight U.S. Rotax Grand National victories from 2002 to 2004. So now, ironically, Norberg and Musser are the first to have 3 SCUSA Pro Tour championships in the program's history, with Musser locking up his 3rd in S4 Master.
The other interesting thing about Ryan Norberg is, and we talk about the juniorification of karting, how it's just getting younger and younger as they, especially over in Europe, they're opening up to even younger kids being able to run in the senior classes, which we both dislike. You got a guy like Ryan Norberg. He's not 16. He's not 17. You know what I mean? Here's a guy who's an adult. And I love seeing that in the senior category. When you get guys like the Jake Craigs, and they've been around a long time for sure, but older guys that are running are essentially the stars of the sport, right? These are the guys that these young kids can look up to.
You have Jake Craig, you have Brandon Jarzakrak, you have Ryan Norberg, you even have the Luke Selican. Luke is no longer a young kid anymore. He's in college, paying his dues there at school. There are still those older type drivers that are racing in the X30 senior category, which is good. I think we need that because, again, I think they produce some of the best racecraft that we have, especially when you see,
and
Craig
example,
and Norberg,
Dave, right?
and Jarzakrak, those guys going at each other hardcore, even Christian Brooks, another guy. Definitely. It's good to see some of these old, you got to have these older guys in there.
David, they set the example for the young kids. That for me, that's it. You can be a young kid, a 15-year-old kid or 16-year-old kid who's jumped into X30 senior, and we saw it when Jim McKinney first jumped in, and he thought he had to battle hard. He had to maybe be a little more aggressive or throw some contact out there. That's not what you have to do, right? You go out there, show the good racecraft, earn the respect of these guys that have been around the sport for a long time, because you just watch the way those guys race. There's calculated aggression for sure, and sometimes they're going to move a guy. That happens, but they do it well. They do it like a pro, and it's great to have guys like that list you just said: Norberg and Craig and Brooks and Selican and Jarzakrak. You got these guys that have been around for a long time. They're professionals. They're pros, and I think we're very lucky to have those guys, and they're showing what they can do when they're running up front. They're winning championships. In fact, like Ryan Norberg,
it is
3 straight.
And again, do you want to put an asterisk on this because Craig wasn't there?
Yeah, I hear you. Jake Craig could easily have jumped into the championship battle and diced it out again with Ryan Norberg, but of course he's trying to make the move into cars. He was up at the Grand Prix of Three Rivers, Trois Rivières, running for Brian Graham Racing in the F1600 series up there. He's trying to make a run at it. Good for him, and he's a heck of a driver.
I just kind of threw that in as a joke because really Craig would have been involved in the championship hunt, no doubt about it, throughout the weekend. So it would have been another person that Norberg would have had his eyes on. But the same goes for, I think, Brooks. Brooks was leading last year when we left the Spring Nats, and he had his prior commitments and couldn't go to the Summer Nats. So that left him out of it. So that it's cool to see how things unfold, and it's good. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly actually Norberg does next year.
Agreed. No doubt about that. Where does he move? Does he stay? Is he going to keep racing karts? Does he make a move somewhere? We'll see. Well, folks, that caps things up here for the EKN Debrief, episode number 31. David Cole, let's look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. It's brought to you by Kartlift. 15 years of bringing racers the best karting products is what Kartlift is all about. Whether it's the industry-leading winch lift, motorized lift stand, our stand-up tire changer, or our chassis skid plates, you can be sure that our products are well thought out and designed to make your race weekend more productive and to save wear and tear on your body and equipment. Kartlift kart stands, built in the USA, built to last. Well, David, we're kind of busy. I think you and I have one weekend off. Potentially, we don't even have that one weekend off for September. We Rock Island Grand Prix, Labor Day weekend classic. You're heading back to the Rock. I'm a little jealous. I'm going to be in Portland for the IndyCar weekend and Mazda Road to Indy. But man, dude, Rock Island looks like it's shaping up to be another good one.
Yeah, I'm getting word that all the Briggs categories are at 30 or more, so that's going to be huge for that.
Yeah.
You still have your contenders in the Yamaha divisions. You have the King of the Streets. And then it's just another good party, another good racing party we get to go to.
Following weekend, the 9th and 10th, there's a potential that I may be heading to Bermuda. I may be there for their first race of their racing season. They have the racing season starting later on in the year. So potentially I'll be out to Bermuda for that weekend. Otherwise, the weekend after that, you're back in action, David. WK Manufacturers Cup, round number 5. Hey, you're going back to Newcastle.
It will be my third trip there. Yeah, it will be. And again, knock on wood, I hope there will be no weather issues that weekend because, again, the last 2 times that I've been down there, it's been really good, really nice. Obviously, September should be some good weather. Thankfully, no tornadoes or anything like that, knock on wood again. But looking forward to wrapping up my season at Newcastle there.
Yeah, I'm the following weekend, September 22nd and 23rd, I head back to Texas. It's been great to be part of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge this season. Their finale at the Dallas Karting Complex out in Caddo Mills. I look forward to that one. Hopefully, September, as you said, maybe a little easier weather, not the 104 that we had to battle through at Amarillo and that crazy heat wave that went through. The weekend after that, David, we're going to cap off the month of September. And after this race, actually looking forward to Supernats. September 29, 30, the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. You're starting September with a street race. You're capping September with a street race. We're heading out to Lancaster for the California Pro Kart Challenge.
Yeah, I don't know about the weather there. It might be in the triple digits there.
It could be. It could be. We've dealt with that before. Yeah, bring the cooler for the laptop. That's for sure.
Well, but the good thing is we get to see some night racing, which is something we don't typically see. You got to see it at Denton. I haven't seen it all season long, so I'm looking forward to getting back to Lancaster. Always a good time there. The city is behind that event 100%. We get to go watch 2 days of some exciting racing.
It is
on the city streets.
Yeah, I love that track. It's a just like Rock Island. It's a simple racetrack, right? It's essentially the same layout to a certain extent with just the one right-hander. But man, the city just goes crazy for it. We have so much fun down there on the boulevard on Saturday night. S1, S2, and X30 Senior running under the lights in front of a crowd of probably 2,000-3,000 people at that one corner alone. It's going to be a great weekend. That's, again, Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, a part of what will either be 4 or 5 race weekends on the EKN Trackside Live program here in September.
Well,
David, that caps.
Hold on. Quick question about Lancaster and Rock Island.
Locking the brakes, baby.
What, because you've wrecked at turn 4 at Rock Island, correct?
Yes, I've wrecked at turn 4 at Rock Island.
So that's the right-hander. So which right-hander would you rather wreck at? The one at Rock Island or the one at Streets of Lancaster?
Ooh, probably Rock Island.
Yeah, me too.
Rock Island. It's wider.
It's wider, exactly.
You're not going to get hit by anybody. That's you. The right-hander at Lancaster comes from a big wide corner into probably 20 feet wide, 25, not even 25 feet wide. So yeah, if you're into the barriers there, you're probably going to get hit by somebody else coming from behind. Where did you wreck at Rock Island? 3, right? Well, you've wrecked so many times at Rock Island, you probably can't remember.
Oh yeah, ouch. That hurts.
How'd your leg feel?
My leg's fine. That was turn 3.
Any ghost pains?
Occasionally, yeah. When I hear that thud, it kind of shivers up my leg. Yeah. So
I've only wrecked once at Rock Island. I wrecked at turn number 4. That was it. I ran out of talent. I tried to make a move on the last lap for I think 6th in 125 shifter masters. I made a mistake and pushed it too wide and just barely grabbed the barriers. Or it was hay bales then, and they grabbed me.
I think turn 1's the only place I haven't either spun or hit something.
Well, that said, I ran the shifter for first cart. In practice, a guy drilled me in turn number 2, and I went straight going into the corner. I'm knocking down a gear, and boom, the guy just drilled me right straight off into the barriers, and I broke the spindle and broke the what do you call it?
Yeah.
The brake disc. I think I still have the brake disc.
Turn 2 was top cart and warm up. I just kind of pushed it out a little too far. Turn 3 was a Margay Ignite. The right-hander was when I clipped the inside barrier with the victory cart, so the steering shaft was completely bent, and I kept racing. Turn 5 was Ignite again. I got spun around there into the wall. Oh no, that was because the tie rod came apart. That's right. And then last year was turn 6 getting spun by Keith Scharf. I'm calling him out right now.
Wow, dude. You can call them out for sure, but dude, you've wrecked at every corner there.
I said turn 1. That's it. That's the only place I have not.
You've never. Knock
on wood.
Do you want to race this year? Get that one out of the way.
That one would hurt.
It would. No, thank you. In turn 1, no way. All right, that's a good walk down memory lane, folks. We're done. I know you guys are probably sick and tired of hearing us here. This is a long show. We had a lot to talk about, but. Thank you so much again for listening to all of our podcasts, whether you have downloaded the app on your mobile device, the EKN Radio app. That's the best way to listen to the radio network on your mobile device, wherever you are. You can always go to ekartynews.com/radio for the radio broadcast. Podcasts are there as well, the drop-down menu. That's where our live broadcast is. Everything accessible. This will eventually be as a podcast available on the website, but otherwise, if you're listening to it this week, you are on the EKN Radio Network. We appreciate you doing that. Appreciate you tuning in. David Cole, any final words?
Rock Island, baby. Let's go.
Enjoy yourself, buddy. There you go. Dave's off to Rock Island. I'm heading to the Mazda Road to Indy events. I've got Gateway first for Indy Lights and Pro Mazda, and then the finale at Portland. A lot of great kart racers that we've had a chance to follow through the sport. We're going to get to see them cap off their 2018 season as well. Folks, on behalf of David Cole, thank you very much for listening to the EKN Radio Network. This was episode number 31 of the EKN Debrief podcast. Dave and I breaking down the SuperKarts USA Summer Nationals, the finale of the 2018 season. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.